Hello, welcome back. Thanks for being here. Today we're going to be talking about something I love very, very much, like we do every time, and that's going to be diet and how it relates to happiness and energy and mood. We're going to be covering things like the entire process from food to neurotransmitters, why eating healthier is cheaper, all types of buzzwords, how electrolytes kill you, um, and all sorts of other things. And while I may not be credentialed, I have been studying diet in and out of school for over 5 years, experimenting with my own diet and helping other people experiment with theirs to varying degrees of success. Um, and today I will tell you everything I know relevant to diet in a hopefully short and easy to understand way. So, let's begin with why diet is important at all. So, I think most of us intuitively know that an important precursor to happiness is being alive. You cannot have well being without first being, and diet is very important for not dying. So, on top of being alive, most of us also want to function and thrive and avoid things we dislike, like diseases. And in order to do this, your body has very specific macro and micronutrient needs. And failing to meet these needs can have all sorts of unfun consequences, like kwashiorkor, or scurvy, or blindness, or pellagra, or death, or a whole other list of things that I promise you do not want. If you don't believe me, Google pellagra. It's terrible. Um, so, eating a healthy, balanced diet can get you from alive to alive and healthy. But we're not going to stop there. We're going to go all the way to alive and healthy and happy and full of energy. So, let's start with some basic dieting terms. There's macronutrients, which are going to be carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. So when someone asks, what are the macros on that, or does it have good macros, they're asking if it has a good ratio or quantity of carbohydrates, fats, and protein. Then there's micronutrients, which are going to be usually referring to vitamins and minerals, but also talks about things like fatty acids and cholesterol and phytochemicals and anything else that your body might need to survive. Then we have contaminants, which don't have a function and usually have a harm. You can think of things like microplastics or heavy metals. Then we have water and electrolytes. Uh, the way your brain works is by sending electrical impulses to everywhere else in your body. And in order to do this, it needs the five electrolytes, which are sodium, chloride, potassium, calcium, and magnesium, dissolved in the right concentrations in the bodily fluids. And if you don't do this, your brain can't communicate with the rest of your body. And that's actually the reason that when you die of dehydration, it's because you don't have enough electrolytes for your brain to communicate with your heart, and you go into cardiac arrest. So, water and electrolytes are very important. So these five things, macros, micros, contaminants, water, and electrolytes, make up every diet. We don't want just any diet. We want an optimal diet for happiness and energy. Well, how do you do that? Like I've tried to illustrate in the last couple of videos, I believe that happiness is a neurotransmitter concoction, if you will. And if you're like me, the question then arises, well, where do neurotransmitters come from and how can I get more of them? And the answer, as it turns out, is they come from something called amino acids. And amino acids are basically just the building blocks of protein. So I'm going to use serotonin for an example. The way we get serotonin is we eat a protein rich food like protein or eggs or oatmeal or vegetables. It goes into our mouth and down our esophagus and into our stomach. And our stomach breaks the protein down into its basic building blocks, which is amino acids. And the amino acids travel further down our digestive tract into our small intestines, where they are released into the bloodstream. And then the amino acid, in this case L-tryptophan, travels through our bloodstream, up through our blood-brain barrier, into our brain, where it's converted into 5-hydroxytryptophan, or 5-HTP. And then 5-HTP is enzymatically converted into serotonin, stored in vesicles. And then when you experience joy or gratitude, or you ate a big meal, you're hanging out with your family, or you're meditating, serotonin is released. But L-tryptophan and 5-HTP are not the only amino acids. There's a lot of them. Like L-tyrosine is the amino acid that turns into dopamine, for example, and many more. I say this to illustrate that if you are getting a poor diet, it might be harder for your brain to have sufficient neurotransmitters. And while I can't say this is the reason everyone is not happy all the time, I can say that in my own experience, I noticed when I had a really crappy diet, and I mean like only eating Sour Patch Kids and Coca Cola type of diet, I was very, very unhappy. My hormones were dysregulated. I couldn't sleep as well. And on my journey to trying to fix this issue, I tried very many things, and it seemed that diet had the most immediate, most profound effect on my energy and alertness and happiness and sleep over anything else, specifically getting amino acid rich protein. So, seems like a novel cure to uh, depression, but all I can say is it worked really well for me, amongst a bunch of other things, of course. So we've gone from dead to alive and healthy, to alive and healthy and happy. Um, but what about energy? How do we optimize for energy? Well, adrenaline, dopamine, and acetylcholine are the neurotransmitters largely responsible for focus. And those are also going to be coming from things in our diet, like amino acids. So, again, it's important to get your amino acids. Um, but beyond that, it can be a little bit paradoxical and tricky. For example, if you are slightly hungry, your body turns on its sympathetic nervous system, which is basically just saying it's more alert and awake as a survival mechanism to get you to go eat more food, do some more hunting. But if you have prolonged periods of hunger, your body starts to digest alternative sources of fuel like stored fat and protein, which is very inefficient. So that can kind of leave you tired. So a little bit hungry, you kind of feel alert. A lot hungry for a long time, you feel more tired. But then it's also true that if you eat a lot of food, you also feel tired because your body diverts so much blood to your gut that you feel tired. So if you don't eat for a little bit of time, you can feel alert. If you don't eat for a long time, you feel tired. If you eat too much, you also feel tired. Long story short, be moderate. Just eat a normal amount for a couple meals a day, and you won't really have to worry about any of this. Now, I want to talk about some of my least favorite things for once, and that's going to be buzzwords. Boy, do I hate buzzwords because they prey on people's ignorance about these things and their desires to be healthy. So I really, really hate them a lot. Uh, let's just start from the top. We got empty calories, which when someone says empty calories, it's not regulated by the FDA in any way. It's just a subjective marketing term. And we also have processed or artificial. And this is just referring to things that usually have less micronutrients and more contaminants. So if something actually is processed, you might want to avoid it. Although processed or artificial does not inherently mean it's a bad thing. It just means it's gone through a process. And oftentimes that increases contaminants and lowers micronutrients. Then we have things like additives, which are just chemicals you add to food to fix some undesirable trait like shelf life or texture. And they're not always bad, but sometimes they're bad. So if you want to err on the side of caution, you can avoid them, but they're not always bad. We have clean blank, like clean calories, clean food, clean protein. And this one pisses me off because it's a completely subjective, completely meaningless marketing term. People try to pawn it off as like it means that there's no contaminants or no additives or no artificial things, but oftentimes you look at things that claim to be clean protein or clean calories, and they do have all those things. So unregulated subjective marketing term, clean calories, whatever. No artificial blank is just referring to the fact that there's no synthetic chemicals in the food. It's again a very tricky one because there's oftentimes organic chemicals in the food that are just as bad, or they are just straight up adding synthetic stuff and lying to you because it's, again, not a regulated term. Now we have the two holy grails of words that I flippin' hate, which are superfood and detox. Superfood, ultra subjective, ultra marketing term, ultra unregulated, means nothing. People can slap superfood on Cheetos and get away with it. Then we have detox or cleanse, which I also hate because what are you trying to detox out of your body? And if you don't have an answer to that, you probably shouldn't be doing it, because I have seen so many detoxes or cleanses that encourage people to do stuff that is just like across the board bad for you. Like, don't eat for 3 days or only eat like sugary juice for a week. It's like, if you're not specifically trying to detox a certain thing, I would avoid detoxes or cleanses. They're not scientific in any way. Then we have ethical claims, and these kind of do have a little bit more merit to them, some of them. Sustainably sourced is an unregulated, meaningless marketing term. Ethically sourced, unregulated, meaningless, subjective marketing term. Farm fresh, unregulated, meaningless, subjective marketing term. None of these things have to be proven or claimed, or proven or meet any specific standard in any way. These ones, for example, cage free and range free, do actually have to be regulated by the FDA and pass certain levels of tests to be put on the foods. Um, Pasture raised, certified humane pasture raised, these things all actually mean something. So if you're looking for ethically sourced eggs or chicken or poultry, um, cage free, range free, pasture raised, certified humane, and certified humane pasture raised actually mean something. I'll leave it at that. The ex-vegan in me was about to say something, but I'll leave it at that. So let's bring this back to reality for a second. What am I telling you to do? Well, rule number one, don't eat too much or too little. On a short-term basis, it can make you tired. On a long-term basis, anorexia and obesity are pretty much harmful to your happiness and energy and longevity in every way. So controlling satiety and eating a normal amount is very important for this. Avoid processed foods when you can because they tend to contain less micronutrients and more contaminants. Get a proper ratio of carbs, fats, and proteins. Try to make sure you're drinking the right amount of water and electrolytes to fit your needs. If you're exercising a lot or out in the heat a lot, it's going to be more. If you're prone to hypertension, then it's going to be a little bit less. And the most important supplement is whatever you're deficient in. If you can kind of follow these last rules that I just laid out, you're going to be getting 80% of the results of healthy eating for 20% of the work. So I just told you what to do, and I want to tell you how to do it. Because eating healthy is very difficult for some people, and it took me a long time to figure out how to do it sustainably. And here are kind of the rules that I follow. Eating food that you dislike just because it's healthy is not sustainable. And even if you try to have discipline like I did, you won't do it forever. So you have to find foods that are healthy that you enjoy. You can do this by observing your diet and not changing it for just a few days and seeing what healthy things you already eat and you already enjoy to eat. You can also do some trial and error by finding healthy foods and seeing what you like. And you might be surprised at what different fruits and vegetables you enjoy. And then once you have a good variety of healthy foods that you enjoy and you've found that you eat already, you can try to tweak them here or there to make it a little bit more enjoyable or a little bit cheaper or a little bit healthier in whatever way you like. And then once you kind of have a good basis of a variety of healthy foods, you can try to organize them in a way that fits your micro and macronutrient needs. And then all of a sudden, you're eating healthy and you're enjoying it. And that's what I do every day. So last thing I want to say is that eating healthy, this is the biggest objection I get, is not more expensive than eating unhealthy. I eat with zero caution for how much it costs. I'm solely focused on my enjoyment and the health and performance and longevity I get out of my food. So I'm eating, the best meat I can find, the highest quality olive oil I can find. I take whatever supplement I need, that type of stuff, and I'm eating 4,000 calories a day when I'm bulking, which is what I use for these equations. So my diet, including supplements, including my coffee that I drink every day, including all of my fancy food, cost $18. Let's see, $18.33 a day. If you wanted to eat an equivalent amount at McDonald's, you'd spend $20 a day to eat 4,000 calories. So you can either eat at McDonald's and pay more and get way less, or you can eat healthy and for cheaper and get a lot more. So hopefully I made my case as to why eating healthy is important for happiness and energy, and it's easier often and healthier and cheaper. So I rest my case. Thank you for being here, and thank you for watching. Next video is going to be about how to control weight, in particular how to lose weight and gain weight. And stay tuned. Hope you enjoy. I'll talk to you guys later. Okay, bye.